From the Kingdome in Seattle, Washington, the final regular season game of 1990, the Detroit Lions against the Seattle Seahawks. A sellout crowd on hand in the Kingdome, and down on the field, Miss Carol Lee Maine and our national anthem. $64,000 on hand, and good afternoon, everybody. I'm Vern Lundquist, sitting in once again for Pat Summerall, who continues his recuperation at his home in Florida. I spoke with Pat this morning, and he's getting along just fine. The Seattle Seahawks on a roll at the end of the season. They can still make the playoffs, and here's how. They must beat Detroit this afternoon, then sit back and hope that Pittsburgh defeats Houston in the final regular season game of this Sunday, this evening. I'm joined again by John Madden. John, we know what Seattle has to do to get in. How do they go about it?
Well, you know, like Chuck Knox says, we can't worry about what someone else has to do. We have to approach this game like it's a playoff game, like it's a championship game, and that's what they're going to do. Now, what they have to do is control the ball on offense and score, and then keep Detroit off the field, because that's the thing that they're worried about. Now, they're going to have some problems there. They're going to have some problems with this guy here, Barry Sanders. He's going for the rushing record. So what Seattle's going to do is they have 7 linebackers that are injured. So they're only going to play 1 linebacker, 6 defensive backs, and 4 linemen, and try and stop Barry Sanders. Now, to me, that's the key to the whole game. If they can move the ball on offense and control Barry Sanders by keeping him to under 100 yards, I think they have a shot.
Well, Barry Sanders doesn't need many yards to gain that rushing title. Thurman Thomas had an ineffective day today in Buffalo's game at Washington, 5 carries for 1 yard. So if Barry Sanders can get 18 yards in this ball game, he will earn the rushing title in 1990. You might recall that last year in the final game of the season, the rookie out of Oklahoma State had a chance to win the rushing title, but Detroit was en route to a victory. He had been given a rest, and when offered a chance to go back into the game and he needed something like 60 yards, he said, no, let Tony Page go on in and finish the game.
Yeah, but he was saying last night that this year he wants it, I think, as much for his offensive linemen as anyone else. And talking to his offensive linemen, they all want Barry Sanders to get that rushing record.
And for the Seattle Seahawks, Cincinnati, of course, won today at Cleveland, a close game. And that means that now Seattle must win and hope for a Pittsburgh victory tonight. Detroit has not had much success on the road against the AFC. The only win came in Kansas City in 1988. Seattle has won the toss, and they will receive. And that means Curt Warner will be back, and Eddie Murray, who has been bothered by a hip problem in recent weeks, will kick off. And again, this is one of the noisier arenas in the NFL. And when they have something to urge their team on for, as they do this afternoon, they can really get riled up. Jefferson and Warren are the deep man. Confusion finally picked up by Chris Warren. And he gets back only to the 17. Now Dave Craig, who has taken every snap on offense this season for the Seattle Seahawks. And he's joined by Andy Heck, Derek Brills, Grant Fiesel. The best guard is the best lineman, Brian Millard, Ronnie Lee, and Mike Tice, just reacquired off a free agent list, gets a start at tight end. Fenner, John L. Williams, hasn't worked out all week because of injuries. The wide receivers are Blades and Tommy Kane. First down and 10 from the 17. 18. John L. Williams to the 33-yard line. Tackled by William White. Defensively, Ferguson. Lawrence Pete starts for Jerry Ball, out with a bad leg, not even suited up. Dan Owens also up front. Jameson, Spielman, Jones, and Kofor the linebackers. And the secondary, Ray Crockett and Leroy Irvin on the corners. Benny Blades and William White are the safeties. Paul Scansey has come into the lineup now. John L. Williams did not even work out yesterday in a light practice on Saturday. And something of a surprise to see him starting today. Derek Finner gets this handoff. He's across the 37-yard line.
Yeah, as you were saying, Vern, John L. Williams has bad ribs and didn't practice all week, including yesterday. And I think when you come to the last game of the season and you're a guy like John L. Williams, who is a proven tough guy in this league, that there's nothing that's going to keep you out of this one. I even had the feeling when he wasn't practicing yesterday, yeah, he's not practicing, but he'll be there today.
And he has carried once for a first down. It's 2nd down and 6 right now. Derek Finner darts to the outside, runs into George Jamison, who didn't even know that Finner was there. Jamison had his back to him and is given credit for a tackle of a loss of 1 yard.
Yeah, but the thing that Jamison did on that is he got penetration, and even though he got spun around, he got off his axis a little. At least he was in the backfield, and then Fenner had no one to run. Watch him from the left side, 58. You see, by getting across the line, you see, by getting up there, even though he spun around, he was 3 yards in the Seahawk backfield.
On 3rd and 7 now. 4 wide receivers set for Seattle. They load up the left side. 4-man rush. Craig finds Chadwick, who drops the ball. Jeff Chadwick, a former Detroit Lion, got some headlines this week when Wayne Fonts indicated he had dropped Jeff Chadwick from the team because he dropped his passes.
That's right, and Chadwick said he couldn't believe that Wayne Fonts would say that about him. And then the first pass that's thrown to him on a big 3rd down play, he drops it here today against his old teammates.
That'll bring on Rick Donnelly. And Mel Gray, a Pro Bowl kick returner for the Detroit Lions, waits at the 20. That's a short punt that takes a Detroit bounce back up toward the 32-yard line. And that means Rodney Peete comes on after that 32-yard punt. Rodney will operate the run and shoot with Lomas Brown, Andelsek, Glover, Dallafour, and Harvey Salem up front. Barry Sanders, the running back, and the wide receivers Clark Johnson, Jeff Campbell, and Mike Farr. Rodney Peete, only 7 interceptions this season. And Wayne Fonts says of him, he has developed a bigger arm. He has gained in strength in 1990 from 1989. 1st and 10. 3 wide receivers on the left side. Incomplete. Intended for Richard Johnson. Now, as John said at the outset, Seattle is going to line up with 6 defensive backs today. They'll have Green, Nash, Bryan, and Woods as the 4 down linemen. James Jefferson and Robert Blackman are extra defensive backs who join David Weinman. And then the 4 normal defensive backs are Harper and Hunter, Gene Robinson, and Nesby Glasgow, the safeties. Not an unusual defensive alignment against the run and shoot. And the Seattle team faced Houston a month ago, and they held the run and shoot Houston offense to 276 yards. See how that helps them prepare for Detroit. Play fake. Peete fires it short. Caught by Jeff Campbell.
Well, it's interesting, Vern, what Seattle's doing on defense is they have Tony Woods, who used to be a linebacker. He's number 57. Now, the first play, he lined up as a linebacker. The second play, he lined up right here as a defensive end. So then they only have 1 linebacker and 6 defensive backs. Now, he could be up here or back here as a linebacker, so that gives Seattle a little flexibility. Again, he is on the line.
On 3rd and 3. No score. Ball at the 40. Peete back behind Jeff Campbell, who is popped by Nesby Glasgow. That's an incomplete pass. Picked up by Jefferson in return, but Nesby Glasgow got the pop. And the Seattle defense shuts down Detroit. It's 3 and out in the first series of plays.
Well, of course, that's exactly what Seattle wanted them to do. They wanted to make Detroit pass. They didn't want them to have a running game. The number one guy they say they have to stop is Barry Sanders.
Chris Warren back to return the punt for the Seahawks. He waits at the 17, and Jim Arnold will punt for Detroit. Warren at the 13. Cut down at the 24. The tackle made by Tracy Hayworth, and the Seahawks get it back after a 46-yard punt and 10 on the return. Atlanta knocks Dallas down today, and that means that the Cowboys' hope of the playoffs rests on the Rams beating the Saints. Cincinnati defeats Cleveland 21-14, scored in the fourth quarter. Miami over Indianapolis. And Washington downs Buffalo. The Giants hang on to defeat New England by 3. And San Francisco has come from behind to regain the lead against Minnesota. Second offensive set now for the Seahawks. No score, opening moments of the game, and Craig back to throw. Deep right side, Tommy Kane wide open in front of Ray Crockett, number 39. That's a gain of 20, and the Seattle first down at the 43.
I'll tell you one thing, you can see the Lions secondary is playing off. And Kane is the best receiver of the Seahawks, but he does a pretty good job of selling a deep pattern. He sold like he was going to go to the post, and then he just made a hook off it. Usually you will hook off a shorter pattern. That time Kane hooked off a post pattern.
And that leaves a 1st and 10 for the Seattle Seahawks. John L. Williams searches the left side and finds Chris Spielman instead of much yardage. That's a gain of 1. Right now, let's go back to our New York studios and check in with Greg Gumbel.
Vern, talk about a clutch play at the Metrodome. Steve Young over the middle to John Taylor. By the time he scores, it's 34 yards. With 29 seconds to play, it's the 49ers by 3 in the fourth. Vern?
Looks like a team that's won a couple of Super Bowls.
I'll tell you, when you have Jerry Rice on one side and John Taylor on the other side, no matter what else you have, you're always dangerous.
2nd and 9, Craig back. Topher coming from the left side. That pass incomplete, intended for Jeff Chadwick. Lomas Brown is going to the Pro Bowl, and Kevin Glover, the center, on the sideline.
They're talking about what Seattle is doing on defense, and they were talking about, see, at first they gave them 2 linebackers, and then they gave him the 1 linebacker look with a 6 defensive back. So he's showing what they did on first down and what they did on 2nd and 3rd down.
Wayne Fonts working the officials early. Soften them up.
I think he's trying to soften them up for the crowd noise if they can't hear, and that'll come up a little later.
3rd and 9. Scoreless first quarter, 10-17 to go. Craig rolling right. John L. Williams, who has caught 69 balls coming into the ball game, makes it an even 70 and a first down at the 40. A gain of 15 yards.
You know, that was the thing that the Seahawks were telling us yesterday, Vern. I think they really want to run the ball today with Fenner and John L. Williams. But in order to do that, Chuck Knox felt that he had to open up by passing, that they had to soften this defense up a little, make them think pass, loosen up a little, and then they can get to their running later.
John L. Williams, 2nd in the NFL in pass receiving among backs. Here's Derek Fenner on the quick toss. And he's down to the 37-yard line before Chris Spielman makes the tackle, a gain of 5.
Hey, if you run, Chris Spielman is going to make a lot of tackles. I think when you talk about linebackers, you have to think of number 54 there. I mean, there's a guy who's a football player.
Does he remind you of another 54, perhaps?
Well, yeah, he does. He's a lot, that bold. I mean, that guy that just wants to get in there, guy that has that intensity, just loves to play the game and loves to make the hits.
Tommy Kane in motion. No score under 9 minutes in the first quarter. Whoops, Lawrence Pete. And we'll see. That is the 2nd sack of Lawrence Pete's career. He had 1 last year against Tampa Bay. And, of course, playing behind Jerry Ball doesn't get that much chance to play.
I know, but when you have that weight and you get it going forward like that, that's like a jailbreak, an avalanche on that quarterback, and it's a one-man gang.
Jerry Ball, as we said, he is not suited up today, bothered by a leg problem.
Defense,
So
number
wipe out the
96,
sack.
5-yard penalty. Repeat the down.
Yeah.
Second down.
Poor old Pete gets his first sack of his life, and the guy's offside. I thought he looked pretty good to me. I thought he was moving with the ball. There's Jerry Ball there. Going to the Pro Bowl again, and they say one of the best nose tackles in football. Then someone was saying, you know, when this Pete plays, they don't lose a lot at that position.
2nd and 1. 8:40 to go first quarter. Fenner should have the first down inside the 30. That's a gain of 3. Lawrence Pete, Victor Jones, part of the tackle.
You know, Lawrence Pete is a tough guy to move because he's not tall, you know, and they got that low center of gravity and a base, and they're tough to get any movement on. And if you don't get any movement on the nose tackle, then you're not going to do a lot of running in there. But how would you like to be the center and come up there? Look at the arms that guy's packing in there. And the guy says, okay, knock that nose tackle off the line. I said, what do you mean, knock him off? How am I going to knock him off anything, that guy?
Well, and they refer to Grant Fiesel, the Seahawks center, as a finesse center. Here's Grant back with time. Fires the ball to the 25-yard line. The catch made by Brian Blades in front of his brother Ben.
That they've been waiting for all week. What's going to happen when Brian Blades runs into Benny Blades? Benny Blades says, I'm not going to take it easy on him, and a matter of harder than I normally would. Said the last time he hit him, they were playing. They both played in college together in a spring game, and he hit his brother a good lick, and his mother told him, don't ever do that again.
His mom and dad are here, Fred and Rosa Blades, along with 12 other family members. Second time the two have played against each other. Williams has a crack and slices through inside the 20 to the 18. And Lawrence Pete makes the tackle and the gain of 5.
Yeah, but I think Benny Blades did take him down a little extra tough. I mean, he gave him a little flop there at the end. And, you know, the funny thing about it is he's going to stay out here. This is the last game for Detroit. They're out of it. He's going to stay out here, and he's going to stay here with Brian. He's going to live with him. So he says he hopes that after this game that, you know, of course, they win, and he hopes he still has a place to stay.
1st and 10. No score. 6:25 to go. Quarter number 1 from the Kingdom. Blitz is coming. Fenner goes left. Cuts inside the 15 to the 14-yard line. That's a gain of 4 for Derek Fenner, who's had a very solid season replacing Curt Warner in the backfield.
I think that's what the Seahawks needed because with Chuck Knox, they are a running team, and this is a heck of a drive. I mean, I think this is the type of thing that they're looking for, you know, to mix up pass and run, fullback, halfback, you know, bootleg, move. They've had great mixture on this drive.
And they have a 2nd and 6 now, under 6 minutes to go. Scoreless first quarter, and they go with 4 wide receivers. Chadwick breaks out way wide to the right. There are 3 to the left side. Welcome those of you who watched that thrilling San Francisco-Minnesota game. The 49ers with a come-from-behind victory 20-17. I'm Vern Lundquist along with John Madden. We're at the Kingdome in Seattle, where Brian Blades has just caught a first down pass, or has caught a pass rather, to give the Seahawks the ball at the 7-yard line in a thus far scoreless first quarter. Detroit has had the ball twice, no first downs. This is the Seahawks' second possession, and they have moved the ball effectively inside the 10, and now have picked up a 1st and goal for Chuck Knox.
Hey, this drive has been 6 runs and 4 passes, and it's been a pretty good drive. We were talking about the mixture of it and good length, and now this is the thing that David Craig was talking about yesterday. Not only having drives, but being able to get the touchdown when we get down there.
Tommy Kane in motion. John Williams cracks at right guard. Goes over the block of Brian Millard. John L. Williams did not practice at all this week, bothered by a rib injury, and it was a question mark until just before the game. Said, let me have a shot. I want to go for it.
Well, you just had the feeling that, as we said yesterday, that even when he didn't practice yesterday, he was going to play today. And I think when you talk about fullbacks in this National Football League, I think you have to put John L. Williams at the top of the list.
Double tight end set, second and goal. Fenner with Williams leading the way. Derek Fenner searching for his 13th rushing touchdown. And Ken Behring, the owner of the Seahawks, on the sidelines, his accustomed spot.
Here's the play. Now watch, it just gets stretched a little too much. He's going to get out here. If he could turn up right now, he would have been able to get inside the pylon. But he had that stretch. It made him take 2 more steps to the side. And then when he went to get up, he was a yard short of the end zone.
Third and goal from the 1 with 4 minutes to go, first quarter. Fenner.
Oh, they're marking it short. I think he got that ball in. We're going to have to look at this one at the clicker here. Let's look at this one again. The rule is, does the ball break the plane? We can look at it right here, and they're going to say that he was down before the ball break the plane. Watch his left elbow hit. See the left elbow hit there? There he's down, so the ball didn't get over. That was a good spot.
Chuck Knox says we'll go for it. Fourth and goal, that much.
I bet they run to the right. That's where the strongest part of their offensive line is.
They're 5 of 6 on fourth downs this year. Make it 6 of 7 and make the score 6-zip. And for Derek Fenner, his 13th rushing touchdown of 1990. A young man who has overcome a ton of personal problems.
He got right in there behind Brian Millard. Watch the movement there. Good movement. He got by the dive, and then he just dove over, and there wasn't going to be any doubt about that one.
This is a Seattle team that lost its first 3 games of the season. But they have won 4 of their last 5. And if they win today and Pittsburgh defeats Houston, the Seahawks will be in the wild card chase. Derek Fenner up and over the top. 3:01 to go, first quarter, and the Seahawks draw first blood. Derek Fenner gets the touchdown on fourth down from a yard out. And a most impressive drive for the Seahawks, second time they had the ball. 76 yards in 14 plays, and well, they wanted to control the ball, John. They've done it.
I'll tell you, Seattle's had the ball 11 minutes and 9 seconds. Detroit has had the ball 50 seconds.
Mel Gray. Excellent downfield coverage on the kickoff. A 10-yard return. Donald Miller makes the tackle. 2:51 remaining first quarter. Seattle on top after the Fenner touchdown, 7-0. In the background, the wave is going on. The wave started in Seattle. Nobody's told them here that the wave is dead.
Yeah, I know. You know the 3 of the things that I hate about football, and they have 2 of them here. They have all 3. Artificial turf, dome stadium, and the wave. They got the whole quinella.
Need to get out of Dodge.
Just the whole trifecta, that is 3. Well, you can't get any worse than that.
Rodney Peete. Down the middle, incomplete. Good defensive job by Dwayne Harper.
This is the thing, this run and shoot, they love to throw to the slot guy, the guy in the slot, and they love to throw to him in the seams. And usually the seams are straight up the hash marks between the zones. That was pretty good defense. The ball and the defender and everything arrived about the same time. But they have yet to run the ball to Barry Sanders.
Sanders again needs 18 yards to claim the NFL rushing title. Here's Barry Sanders for the first time. And the Seahawks are loaded up against the run. That's a gain of 2.
Well, that was the thing that every player we talked to yesterday, whether he was a defensive lineman or a linebacker or a defensive back or a coach or the janitor or whatever, they said, we're going to key on Barry Sanders. We have to stop Barry Sanders. And they all also say that this guy's the best running back in football.
Some say ever. Has to prove that over the course of time. 3rd and 8. Pete, watch out. Jacob Green gets the sack.
Tell you, he comes from that top side, right around the backside. You see him? Rodney Peete is going to throw to his left. He's looking to the left all the way, so now his right becomes his backside, and he didn't feel or see Jacob Green coming.
Jacob Green goes into double digits in sacks for the season. He's now got 10.
Hey, Jacob Green has been around for a long time. He's been, an 11-year veteran, always been a good pass rusher.
Jim Arnold will punt. Lions still looking for their first down. That's a good one. Chris Warren at the 41. Gets a clearing block and is flying down the sideline. Nesby Glasgow with the block, and it may have been an illegal block. We'll see if it's number 22.
There were so many good blocks on that play, Vern, that there had to be a flag. And they just looked like ducks going down, and they'll go boom, 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 boom. The Detroit guys that was going down the sideline, you just think there had to be a penalty with that many blocks.
Here's Dick Hancock.
Illegal block on a return, number 84, 10-yard penalty, first down.
I'll tell you, they got some good blocks right here. Those are the blocks that will form the line. And when you see them going down like that, you know something's going to happen. Watch, boom, there's one, there's one, there's one right there. They were just picking those guys off.
And the one we did not see was the one they ruled illegal. Seattle has the ball in the lead. 1:24 remaining. First quarter of play. Seahawks dominating play thus far. They have a 7-0 lead, and the ball after the penalty at their own 44. Tommy Kane starts in motion, a double tight end set, and Craig with a play action pass on first down. Deep. Man wide open. Brian Blades incomplete. Oh, boy, and Craig had him there.
Yeah, Brian Blades is fast. Watch this play now. Here's Jim Arnold on the play before the punter. Now, what do you think he's doing? He looks like he's getting ready to kick one here. But just watch what he does. And you're not going to see many of these. Watch that. Now, that's a pretty good hit by anyone. I mean, the head's up in front. Boom. Collision. Knocks him on his back. You better enjoy a punter making a hit like that because you won't see many of them.
Now, if you want to think that's a regular thing for the Detroit Lions, that's his first tackle this year, and he waits until the last game of the year.
That may be the first tackle of his life. I think it knocked the helmet right off with some hair with it. You see that shot of him?
Second down. And that pass is complete to Chadwick for a gain of 9. I knew there had to be a reason.
I'll tell you, Chadwick has to feel pretty good about catching that one. Anytime you play against your old teammates, I don't care what you say, you get up a little more for it because, even though they're your friends, you want to play better against them than you do anyone else. We got a couple of those. Chadwick playing against his old teammates. The Blades brothers, one a wide receiver for Seattle, the other a defensive back for the Lions.
James Jones, a former Lion, is now on the Seahawks squad. 3rd and 1. Here's Fenner. Good block on the right side. And how about the run by Derek Fenner to the 26? I think it was Brian Millard who led the way.
I'll tell you, Fenner made a heck of a run by getting down, getting bent, and making some great moves on that play.
That's the end of the first quarter with our score. The Seattle Seahawks 7 and the Detroit Lions 7.
Here's Derek Fenner, who makes a nice run. He gets a good first block here by Millard, a good second block here from John L. Williams. Watch it. See 71 come out. Boom. There's the first block. That opens a hole. Now watch John L. Williams. Boom. Right there. Then the rest of it is good run by Derek Fenner.
Derek Fenner with 39 yards on 9 carries now on a 1st and 10 at the 27. First play of the second quarter. John L. Williams bounces it to the outside. Rips down to the 15-yard line.
Like over in the sidelines, that something happened to Derek Fenner's hand. You can see they're putting a pad on his left hand. And then while he goes out of there, they say, well, we don't have Fenner, so we'll just give it to John L. Makes a nice bounce out here. You see, he starts in here. Now there's nothing there. Runs into his own guy, Lee, who's making a pretty good block. Bounces it to the outside and picks up a first down.
Make no mistake, that is not John Williams. That is John L. Williams.
You call him John, he won't answer. He only answers to John L. there.
John L. goes right. And a flag is thrown in the offensive backfield by Dick Hamtack. Tackle was made by Ray Crockett. We got a holding call against the Seahawks.
You know, one thing that the Seahawks wanted to do, one of their goals that Chuck Knox talking about, is controlling the ball and keeping the Detroit offense off the field.
Number 63, 10-yard penalty. Repeat the down, first down.
And they have sure done that. 63 is Ronnie Lee. He got a holding penalty that time. Last week, in last week's game, he was thrown out of the game. In fact, his nickname is Nasty.
Big Nasty.
Yeah. I'll tell you, he's a good tackle. He was started as a tight end, played down at Miami, and he's a good drive blocker. He's a good pass protector, and when Seattle wants to run, they're going to get in there on that right side behind Ronnie Lee and Brian Millard.
As you can see, Seattle has been in control of this ball game. 1st and 20 now. Seahawks with a 7-0 lead. Gregg throws it away. That one was high and outside.
You know what happens? That's a tough down. I've always liked to run on that down. You know, after you get a holding penalty and you're 1st and 20, you know, instead of trying to pick it all up, I always like to go back to a run or a solid play and maybe pick 5 of it up, 7, 8, you know, pick up that area and get back into that working area, because if you throw a long one incomplete on 1st and 20, now you end up 2nd and 20, and that's more difficult, and the most impossible is 3rd and 20. That's when coaches always turn and get a drink of water.
And you saw the Lions make defensive changes. 4 wide receivers set for the Seahawks out of the shotgun. Gregg in the corner, and there's going to be a flag. No flag? Whoa, boy.
I tell you, if you watch 25 right there, Sheldon White, it looks like he just pulled him down. He just puts his right arm in there and trips him. He does exactly. He just knocks him down, and Detroit comes up with the interception. How in the heck they missed that one, I have no idea.
That is the ultimate in incidental contact. We are in Seattle, the Kingdom, where Tom Flores is the president and general manager, and looking at the Seagal cheerleaders reminds us that Tom's daughter Kim is a cheerleader down in Los Angeles.
Yeah, for the Rams. He said when he first heard about it, he goes, oh, no, you're not going to do that. What do they wear? First thing he worried about.
Well, there was no interference on the intercepted pass, and Rodney Peete is back in the quarterback spot. Finds, oh boy, wide open. Here goes Robert Clark all the way to the 40-yard line. A 40-yard gain.
He just slipped that ball in there. You look up there on the top of the screen, and you're going to see the ball just slide in there. What happened is Patrick Hunter, the corner, got turned around. He had his back to the ball. He didn't even see the ball thrown, so Robert Clark could work that sideline. That's a tough thing. You want to be able to see the receiver and the ball coming and not be completely turned to everything.
That is the first down for Detroit. 7-0. 1st and 10 at the 40. Seattle on top. Now the adjustment being made by the Lions as the crowd gets involved. Pete. Into the flat and caught by Aubrey Matthews, number 83. The Lions will use 7 of their 8 wide receivers with regularity. That's a gain of 9.
You see, now we'll see the reason that Detroit is doing all this passing, because if you look here, here's 4 in the front, then 1, 2, 3 back here. So in this box right here, in this tackle box, there are 7 defensive guys. Now that is loaded up to stop him. So when they do that, then you have to throw the ball. In fact, they got 7 in the box again. This has to be a passing situation for the running shoot.
Except that they go ahead and run it to Barry Sanders.
Yeah, but then you don't have the thing. See, and that's a problem when you run. You only have 5 blockers. And now you're running, you see here, this is the way they start. And they have 7 guys up in front. Now they shift. Now they still have 7 guys. They're just 7 guys in different positions. But in that box there's 7 guys, and you only have 5 blockers. So you're going to have 2 defenders free.
1st and 10 now for the Lions at the 29. 7-0. Seattle leads it. We're in the 2nd quarter. 11:10 to go. Pete overthrows his intended receiver, Terry Greer. Nesby Glasgow defending. Raiders have scored to go on top of San Diego. If they win the AFC West. And in chilly Denver, it's a 3-3 game. Tampa Bay leads the Jets in games in progress. 2nd and 10.
I'll tell you, boy, when those quarterbacks go down, you look at Dallas losing to Atlanta when they lost Troy Aikman. They really had a shot at making the playoffs, but I think that ended on that day. I didn't know if really a Super Bowl didn't end for Buffalo when they lost Jim Kelly, too.
2nd and 10. Glasgow follows Matthews to the left side. Pete in trouble. Shovel pass. Barry Sanders. 1 move, 2 moves, and tackled at the 11-yard line.
That's what they have to do. They have to find a way. If we can't run, if they're going to run, if they're going to do all those things, we have to find a way. And look what they come up with, the old shovel pass. See, Sanders off to the right. He just goes right there, and then he just stops right there in the middle. And they just shovel it to him. And when he gets in the open field, watch this guy go.
Barry Sanders said yesterday, I really have only average hands, but they have gotten me more involved in the passing game this year.
Well, when you're a great runner like that, you don't do a lot of other things.
1st and 10. 7-0. Seattle leads it. Sanders going left. Loses yardage back to the 15. Jacob Green with the tackle.
What Seattle's doing is they're ganging up on the run. They're ganging up in there, and they say Barry Sanders is not going to have a place to run. We're going to play solid. We're not going to give them lanes. If they're going to beat us, they got to beat us with Rodney Peete throwing the ball.
Rodney Peete thus far is 4 of 8 for 71 yards, 40 of that on the first play of this drive. 2nd down and 12. Pete caught by Matthews. Out of bounds at the 7-yard line. The tackle made by Patrick Hunter.
You know, Barry Sanders came into this game only needing 17 yards to get the NFL rushing crown for this year, and that looks like a gimme. You know, anytime you think Barry Sanders only needs 17 yards, well, that's a laugher. Except that thus far he only has 2 yards.
Well, you know, his former college teammate Thurman Thomas had the lead today and still does, as a matter of fact, playing for Buffalo. Thomas was held to 0 yards on 5 carries by the Redskins. 3rd and 3. Pete with a quarterback draw. Down to the 2. It'll be 1st and goal, Detroit. Here's the correction on the Atlanta-Dallas score. Now the Cowboys can still get into the playoffs as the third wild card in the NFC if the Rams defeat New Orleans tomorrow night.
Yeah, but you don't want to get in that way. I think
backing up.
I think the playoffs are always better when teams come in and they win to get in, and that's what Chuck Knox was talking about yesterday too. We don't care about them. If we're going to be there, we have to go out and win. We have to go out and whip this Detroit team anyway.
Sanders got one. It'll be second down and goal from the one. Dave Wyman, the middle linebacker, number 92, makes the tackle. Wyman, a wonderful player from Stanford who has been bothered by bad knees throughout his collegiate pro career.
But just he makes the tackle, Wyman, and just when they make tackle, just stuff comes out of his mouth. I don't know. Is that his teeth or helmets falling apart or what? I mean, he made such a collision there that stuff just started falling out of his mouth.
Violent game. Whoops. That might be a delay call.
I think Lomas Brown, the left tackle, jumped.
There was no play. There was no play. We had false start on the offense, number 75. Still second down.
Yeah, he did. You know, this is an area where a lot of people that are not fond of the run and shoot say that they're going to have problems down here is on the goal line. Here we see Lomas Brown moving because they don't have any tight ends. They don't carry a tight end on their team. Look, they have 3 wide receivers out on this side, 1 out there on the other side, so they don't really have a short yardage or goal line offense as we know it.
Richard Johnson in the slot left. Rodney Peete overthrows Richard Johnson, incomplete. Third down. 7:22 to go before halftime. This by far the most impressive drive. Rodney Peete, of course, bothered by hamstrings this year, replaced a couple of times by Bob Galliano. Wayne Font said yesterday that Andre Ware, the rookie from Houston, might play today. Might.
Yeah, but he also said that Rodney Peete is his quarterback, has been his quarterback all year, and when they go to training camp next year, will be his quarterback.
Quarterback draw again. And Peete, who scored on a long run last week in the frozen tundra of Green Bay, is held to a 5-yard pickup at the 1-yard line.
I think when we talked to the Seattle people yesterday, if there was a second thing that they wanted to stop, you know, of course, Barry Sanders was the #1 thing in everyone's mind, and if there were a second thing, the second thing was Rodney Peete running.
Cortez Kennedy, number 96, the Seahawks' #1 pick last season. And now Eddie Murray, 12 of 18, out for 4 weeks with a hip problem and bothered a little bit by a reoccurrence of that injury lately. 19-yard effort. Jim Arnold will hold.
Delay offense.
Chuck Knox looks like he lost a guy last season, huh?
He did.
Yeah, he's
half a guy now.
Yeah, Chuck Knox, I remember when he was a big old guy. I remember when he was the offensive line coach for the Detroit Lions. I mean, he was a big old line coach at one time.
5-yard penalty.
Chuck Knox.
Of course, to be the head coach of the Rams and Buffalo and here in Seattle and wherever he's gone to coach, he's done an excellent job.
Eddie Murray, 4th in field goal percentage on the all-time list. And a 24-yard effort now. Jim Arnold will hold it, and Murray is good. So Murray's field goal ends an 11-play drive and puts the Lions on the board. They trail by 4. Up to date on the NFL playoff picture. The 49ers, Giants, and Chicago in the NFC have won division titles. Philadelphia and Washington are in. There's one wild card spot yet to be decided. And, of course, the Cowboys lost today, so New Orleans can win that 3rd spot if they defeat Los Angeles tomorrow night. If the Saints lose, the Cowboys are in. Philadelphia will host Washington And either New Orleans or Dallas will be at Chicago next weekend. In the AFC, Buffalo, Miami, the Raiders, and Kansas City have secured playoff spots. And among those still fighting for spots, Pittsburgh, Cincinnati, Seattle, and Houston. And again, the task for Seattle quite simple. If they win today and Pittsburgh wins tonight, Seattle's in. Pittsburgh and the Raiders can clinch titles with wins today. And Buffalo has a first-round bye. So it's still a little bit confusing, but clearing out as the afternoon wears on. And nighttime progresses. Pittsburgh and Houston playing this evening. Eddie Murray, here's where he's been hampered by that hip problem. Short kickoff. So this one taken at the 14. And it's out to the 25-yard line. Travis McNeil, the tight end, with the return. Andy Heck and Derek Fenner getting ready to lead the Seattle offense back on the field. David McWilliams and the Texas Longhorns back in the Cotton Bowl. Miami, of course, fourth ranked, led by quarterback Craig Erickson. They are also alive for the national title. The Mobile Cotton Bowl Classic, New Year's Day on CBS. 6:07 to go before halftime. Seattle leading Detroit 7-3. Dave Craig 5 of 10 thus far. Play action pass on first down. John L. Williams with his second catch of the afternoon. That's a gain of 12 and a first down at the 42-yard line. The tackle made by Chris Spielman.
Yeah, it's amazing. John L. Williams having rib problems, and anytime you have a rib, wherever you get hit, it hurts right there. You know, if you cough, it hurts there. If you get hit in the hip, it hurts there. If you get hit in the leg, it hurts there. You get hit in the ankle, you get hit in the head, it goes right to that spot.
Quick toss left side. Derek Fenner. He's jammed up and cut down for a loss. Benny Blades and Michael Kofer collaborating on that tackle.
Kofer finished it off. Did you see that? I mean, he brought a load in on that one. There are guys that come to make tackles, and there are guys that come to plow guys into the turf. And Michael Kofer on that one finished it off. Watch number 55 when he comes in there to finish it right, boom, right there. He drove Fenner's right shoulder right into that turf.
Second down, 11. Craig sacked. Fumble. And the Detroit Lions have come up with it. Michael Kofer.
That's what they worry about with Dave Craig. It was Mark Duckins, number 91. Watch him. He's coming right up here in the left. He's going to be the first right there. 91. He makes the hit. He knocks the ball out, and Kofer comes up with the fumble recovery. You know, that was one of the things that Chuck Knox was saying yesterday. It seems like too many times Craig gets hit, and the ball just pops out of there.
Well, David Craig has now fumbled 16 times this season. And 7 of them have been recovered. 4 of them returned for touchdowns. It's a negative for Craig, and he's also been responsible for 26 of the 35 turnovers by the Seahawk offense. Interceptions and fumbles. Terry Greer with that catch. There is Chris Spielman.
It just looked like, you know, you talk about a guy who brings a load when he hits him. That's Chris Spielman. Looked like he may have hurt himself somewhere. But this guy, if there's a running play, he's going to be in on a tackle. And I think he has all those things that, you know, talk linebacker. I mean, you know, 6 foot, 250 pounds, Ohio State. You know, you just kind of think toughness of linebacker.
Barry Sanders tests the middle down to the 23. The flag is down. Raiders continue to lead San Diego by 4. And Green Bay and Denver are still tied.
False start. Offense, number 75. 5-yard penalty. Still second down.
Well, that's Lomas Brown, and that's a second false start for him. And the crowd noise, John, not terribly noticeable on that last play.
Well, I know that, you know, that's one thing that Detroit did interesting this week. They didn't have their tackles, Lomas Brown or Harvey Salem, even line up in the huddle. They'd stay in the line of scrimmage, and the guards would tell them to play. Now, Lomas Brown said, if I can't hear, I'm going to watch my guard, the guy next to me. When he moves, moves, I'm going to move. So if I go offside, it's his fault, not mine.
Blame it on the guard. So Derek Brill should be given credit for the 2 penalties. Here's the quick toss out on the left side to Robert Clark. That's a gain of 9.
Of course, Lomas Brown already has 2 of those movement penalties today. But I'll tell you, he's a Pro Bowl tackle, too. You know, I've watched him a lot on tape and film over the years, and I think he's one of the better players in this league. I think when you talk about the offensive tackles over the years, he plays as well as any of them do.
And he's got a cousin in the league who's a pretty good offensive lineman, Guy McIntyre of the San Francisco 49ers. 3rd down. Sanders stuffed. Nesby Glasgow.
There's a fired up guy, Glasgow. You can tell. We were watching practice yesterday, and he was lining up in there where he was just keying Barry Sanders all the way. He's listed as a defensive back. But when you play a run and shoot and they're playing 6 defensive backs, he is really playing today as a linebacker. And I tell you, when you're at number 22 and you're a defensive back and they move you up there, you got to make tackles like that.
81 tackles coming in. It is a first down. 7-3 with 2.5 to go before halftime. And Sanders finding the yards tough to come by. Pete. And that's good for a gain to the 18-yard line. Tony Woods is the injured player.
And Tony Woods was a linebacker, and they had 7 linebackers hurt. Woods is playing end now. Watch him. He's working against Lomas Brown there. He starts to the outside, and it looks like his foot just got caught in the carpet, and Brown pushed him to the ground.
Time has been called to tend to the injury with 2:14 to go, first half. Woods, the injured player, was a linebacker a year ago, converted to a defensive end. He put on 25 pounds. Back to linebacker last week, where Seattle has lost a ton of players, a total of 7 linebackers thus far this year, and now Tony Woods is being helped to the locker room. 2nd down and 5. Rodney Peete, draw play, Sanders. On a searching mission, breaks a tackle, touchdown. A gain of 16, and with that, Barry Sanders has assumed the NFL rushing leadership.
And you knew it was just a matter of time. There, you're going to maybe control Barry Sanders a little, but you're not going to stop him. And when a guy can make runs like this and moves like this is why he's the best running back in football. There's a move, there's a move, there's a move. He'll make about 8 or 9 moves on that. He'll make 6 or 7 guys miss and run through the rest.
Eddie Murray with the extra point. Barry Sanders over 1,300 yards. He has assumed the lead in the NFL on this final day of the regular season, and Detroit is up by 3. On CBS Sports. After that spectacular run by Barry Sanders, the Lions kick it off and it goes out of bounds. And that run by Sanders rather typical of his talent.
I think sometimes you just have to look at something and just enjoy it. I mean, there's no one else in football that can make these moves. And this run is, you know, a touchdown run, and the moves that he makes and the way that he runs, it's just an art form.
He was telling us last night about growing up in Wichita, where as a 4th grader, he was 9 years old, playing for the Beach Red Barons, and his dad was sitting watching him play as a 9-year-old in a little league game, and he ran for 3 touchdowns of 65 yards or more. And Dad, Willie, said, "You're going to be the best running back in the country."
Yeah, he said his dad told him that he's the best running back he's ever seen. He said his dad always told him, run right at the defense, then make your move.
Tommy Kane across the middle. That's a gain of 8 or 9, depending on the spot, make it an 8-yard gain. Seattle has turned it over twice. William White with a Detroit interception and a fumble recovery, and now Seattle goes without the huddle. They must win. That play will be wiped out. Bring it back. Penalty flag is down. Paul Scansey with the catch.
Yeah, that's the thing about these games and who's going to win and who's the best. You can't put the turnovers in. You know, Seattle has really been doing, I mean, they've been playing well defensively.
Holding. Offense. Number 66. 10-yard penalty. Repeat the down.
Offensively, they've been moving the ball and they've been doing everything, and then they have the turnovers. That was on Heck right there. He was trying to push Michael Kofer beyond, and usually you just push the guy beyond. That time, when he went to push him beyond, he also grabbed some jersey.
Brings up a second down, 11. 1:30 to go. Seahawks must win and have Pittsburgh defeat Houston tonight if they are to get into the third AFC wild card. Little screen pass to John L. Williams, his third catch. That's the first down at the 48-yard line. Jeffrey Hunter, number 97, makes the tackle, a gain of 13. Flag down. But it's against Detroit.
Offside. Defense, number 91. Penalty is declined. First down.
That's Mark Duckins. He's 91 right there. You see him. He gets in the neutral zone. The ball is snapped before he gets back. He was the guy who made the sack on David Craig that caused the fumble.
Penalty declined, 1st and 10. Across the middle for Craig. That's caught by Brian Blades. Another flag is down, however, so hold on. Wipe it out.
I'll tell you, Seattle is just self-destructive, because I was saying earlier, they're really doing things well, but the penalties and turnovers are just killing them this first half.
Illegal formation. Offense. Got it up in on the line of scrimmage. 5-yard penalty. Repeat the down. First down.
That wipes out a 22-yard gain. There's the Blades family. Let's see. I see an 89. Yeah, there's the Brian Blades number. No 36s.
Well, that's the thing that has to be tough. You know, I'm sure that, you know, when a family, a deal like that, you'd like to see both players play well, no one get hurt, and maybe if they really had to root for someone, it would be Seattle, because at least then Brian would be able to go to the playoffs, where Benny Blades is out of it anyway.
Brian Blades got the tickets. Craig, deep left side, man open, Scansey. Another flag. It's downfield at the 32, so we'll see what this one is.
Yeah, and this is in the area where it's going to be pass interference of some kind. Of course, they do have offensive pass interference, too. That one was defensive pass interference. You'll see they have a triple formation. You see they got 3 wide receivers over here on this side. Now, you have one going deep, one going the middle, and one going short, and they hit the middle guy.
Paul Scansey with the catch, the possession receiver for the Seahawks, and a first down after the 22-yard gain. 1:01 to go before halftime. 1st and 10. And the Lions up 10-7, having taken advantage of 2 Seattle turnovers. Craig shovels it short to John L. Williams. Little sidearm pass, looked like an Ephus pitch from Ewell Blackwell back in the 40s.
Well, that's what David Craig does. David Craig throws the football from every possible angle.
Time has been called. 53 seconds to go, first half. The usual sellout crowd at the Kingdome in Seattle. 32 degrees outside and snowing, but very comfortable inside. Not so for the Seattle team, though. They trail Detroit by 3 with 53 seconds to go in the first half of play. San Diego has gone on top now. Green Bay and Denver in a battle of field goals, and the Jets lead Tampa Bay. Other games final earlier this afternoon. 2nd down and 1. And the Seahawks will go with the shotgun. Brian Blades, this time in front of Sheldon White. Gain of 8, 1st down. Craig just does get rid of it as he's hit by Kofer. Michael Kofer not in the Pro Bowl this year. Wayne Fawn said yesterday he's having a better year this year than he did when he was selected for the Pro Bowl.
Well, you know, that's a tough position, that outside linebacker, because you have guys like Lawrence Taylor going, Pat Swilling going, Charles Haley going from the 49ers, have had great years.
On the sidelines, Chuck Knox. You saw Chick Harris, the offensive backfield coach, standing next to him. 34 seconds to go before halftime. Craig to Brian Blades. A flag is down as the Blades brothers collide.
I wonder how the Blades mother feels about that one when she sees one of her sons get a penalty against the other one and then argue about it. Woo!
He may get more than just a penalty.
You got one fired up Blades out there. That Benny Blades is going crazy.
1st down.
Think they'll talk about that tonight at dinner?
He may not be invited to dinner.
So Brian Blades of Seattle is the older brother by 9 months. And they were both 1988 draft choices and, of course, teammates at the University of Miami. 1st down. Craig back. Crossing pattern tipped and incomplete. And Brian Blades was open. And here's no scoop. We have another flag down.
You know, I think covering your brother is one thing. Tackling your brother is another thing. You're tackling your brother hard is yet another thing. But tackling your brother and getting a penalty, that's something that mothers aren't happy about.
That's a separate category.
Offense, number 63, 10-yard penalty. Repeat the down, 1st down.
That's on Ronnie Lee, the right tackle.
Yeah, that's Ronnie Lee's 2nd penalty. He's kind of had a tough week. He got thrown out of the game last week. Yesterday, he missed practice. We went to practice. There was no Ronnie Lee there. They said he got caught up in the ice or something. The streets here in Seattle are very difficult to drive on, so Ronnie Lee somehow got caught up in the ice and missed practice.
Detroit.
And then today he has 2 penalties.
Lions call timeout with 24 seconds to go before halftime. Ronnie Lee, who was a high school teammate of Earl Campbell at Tyler High School in Tyler, Texas. Coming up tomorrow, we begin our bowl game coverage. The John Hancock Bowl from El Paso with Southern Cal against Michigan State. That's at 2:30 Eastern time. And we'll follow that up with the Mobile Cotton Bowl Classic on New Year's Day. The Longhorns and the Hurricanes at 1:30 Eastern time. So the Hancock tomorrow, the Mobile Cotton Bowl Classic on New Year's Day.
I'll tell you, if you're an NFL player, the last thing you want to do is be watching those games on television. I think that every NFL player wants to be practicing.
Well, the Lions won't be. Seattle hopes to be. They must win and have Pittsburgh defeat Houston tonight to get into the playoffs.
I think this could be an interesting drive here. 24 seconds left. Seattle has 2 timeouts, but I think getting a score here will do a heck of a lot for momentum.
1st down and 20. Sack. Going the wrong direction.
You know, and that's something that's tough. When you get when bad things happen to you just before halftime, then you have to go in and talk about those bad things most of your halftime. When good things happen, then you go in and your halftime becomes a very positive thing.
And a team that's trailing by 3, having negative plays now the last couple of times out. 19 seconds to go, and Seattle has 1 timeout left. Well, how did we get to where we are? Seattle dominated the first quarter of play, and Derek Fenner got a 1-yard touchdown run at the end of the 76-yard drive. Eddie Murray's field goal made it 7-3 midway through the second quarter, and Barry Sanders with a 16-yard run that was accompanied by 16 different moves put Detroit on top 10-7. Greg and Terry back in our New York studios with scores and highlights coming up 19 seconds from now.
And then Seattle here is looking at a 2nd and 26. I think you get that in chunks, but also you have to realize that they are very close to being in field position. They just need about 5 more yards for a field goal.
4-man rush. Craig pumps once, heaves it left side, and that's going to be out of bounds and incomplete. Tommy Kane, the ostensible intended receiver.
Yeah, you see, I think they're forgetting first things first. I think that, you have a thing, you look, there's 26 yards to go to first down. You don't worry about that. I think you get in position to kick your field goal. And I think that, right now, maybe they feel comfortable that they have a 49-yard field goal. I would think you'd want to at least get 5 or 10 more yards. Get that, then take the shot at the end zone.
3rd and 26. Three wide receivers left side. That ball caught at the 26-yard line. Jeff Chadwicks makes the grab. 5 seconds to go, and they ruled that he was out of bounds and stopped the clock. Although there is some discussion with Leroy Irvin about that.
Well, there's really no reason for it because Seattle had a timeout anyway.
Right. And
it's 4th down, so they were going to take the timeout anyway. So Leroy Irvin was just letting off some steam that he really didn't have to.
Now Norton Johnson, who is 20 of 29 this season, and it has been a roller coaster season for Johnson, will try and tie it up from 43 yards away. Got it. That's the end of the first half with our score. Seattle 10, Detroit 10.
Welcome back to our studios in New York, everyone. Along with Terry Bradshaw, I'm Greg Gumbel. Those of you watching Detroit and Seattle will run down some of the action taking place right now, including the game that you're watching. It's a 10-10 tie at halftime. Seattle, of course, in search of a playoff spot in the AFC, and Chuck Knox looking on and saw Derek Fenner go up and over the top for a 1-yard touchdown plunge that gave the Seahawks a 7-0 lead. But here comes that man, Barry Sanders.
2 plays you use to slow down a pass rush. One is the screen, the other is the draw. This is the draw to Barry Sanders, like a little water bug, right, left, into the end zone.
Now, Barry Sanders took over the NFL rushing lead with that touchdown. Just to refresh your memory, the Seattle Seahawks need a victory, and they also need a Houston loss tonight. The Oilers will host the Pittsburgh Steelers at the Astrodome. The loser of this game is out of the playoffs. Pittsburgh wins it, they win the AFC Central. If Houston wins, they're a wild card entry, and the Cincinnati Bengals are the AFC Central Division champs. The Raiders need a victory today to claim the AFC West, but they trail the San Diego Chargers at halftime. The score is 9-7. John Freese quarterbacking the Chargers. He has thrown a touchdown pass 7 yards to Craig McEwen. Halftime in Denver, the Packers and the Broncos are tied at 6 in a battle of field goals. And halftime in Tampa, where the Bucks trail the New York Jets by a score of 13-7. And the NFL today continues here on CBS after this word from your local.